co-founder of ShareSpace. ShareSpace is a social network for personal growth and mental health improvement. And to begin with, I just want to state that our app at the mean moment doesn't have anything in common with the blockchain and cryptocurrency. but hopefully we will find out the possible implementations of NFT, through which I will explain you further in the presentation how we might use it as a gamification feature for our users, or as an additional way of monetizing for our creators. As of today, what we have now is we are an MVP project with over 10,000 users in it, and on Monday we are presenting our new app version, which is be ready for scaling up. And yeah, so to begin with, I want to start with some facts and statistics. And does it work?
It works, yeah.
Yeah. Start with some facts and statistics, and
no, it's just
the fact is that mental health and personal growth have been and will be a very hot topic for decades. And the cause of this market increase is happening due to the rising demand for self-improvement and emotional well-being problems. And all of this is happening due to post-pandemic effects. Looking at the after post-pandemic analysis reports, as of today, it is stated that 26% of Americans are diagnosable with mental health disorder. Over 50% of those people are diagnosable with additional anxiety symptoms, and the depression's rate have quadrupled since the rise of pandemic. However, nevertheless, the pandemic has also shown us the opposite side of the effect, and it has shown that mental health is universal. And any of us can face mental health, and if you're facing such a challenge, that doesn't mean that you're sick or you have to be scared of it. In other words, it just explains that people should start taking care of their mental health just the same way you would take care of your nutrition or physical appearance, just the same way as if you would visit gym on a daily or weekly basis. So as a result, we can see that the rise of this social issue, but however, the social issue definitely did not start 2 years ago with the rise of pandemic. It started and can be traced to over more than 15 years ago. And traditional social medias such as Facebook and Instagram bear a lot of responsibility for this, because at the beginning they have been stating that our mission was to connect people, is to make people feel free, and just to break those barriers of them finding the communication and between friends and between others. However, as a result, what do we have now is that the users of those social medias are facing different mental health challenges. They're facing, especially when we're talking about younger audience. And case studies have already proven the connection and highlighted the connection of Instagram and Facebook towards increase of social anxiety and many other different challenges. So as a result, people need a less toxic place, a place for more confidentiality, a place where they can open up, find support, find advice, a place where they can easily get into the community and find helpful and needed content in terms of daily life, mental health challenges, personal improvement, and etc. So as a result, here comes ShareSpace, and ShareSpace is a social media for mentally healthy well-being and personal growth. We, as an application, give a possibility to users to confidentially open up on our platform and discuss and tell stories or problems about their ups and downs, positives and negatives, crisis and winning life stories. Through the app, people will have a chance to ask questions. Everything, I will repeat, everything is confidential, so they will have a chance to ask questions, exchange knowledge, share experience. And what is very important is that throughout this, people will have an additional help to ask an expert an advice or a support from a professional expert, and they ask this help or advice in many different formats, whether they wanted to ask it as a journaling, as a question, as an audio, as a video. So this opens up a totally new sector for different creators, and by creators I mean not only therapists and psychologists, but also like life coaches and business coaches and more. So this opens up a new sector for experts who are willing to start earning and to generate additional income for them from a perspective of empowering and helping people on the side. So as we are an application, we are based on the three basic components which have been extended to our vision and mission. And to start with is the discussion space. It is based on the old school feed, as everyone of us is used to it. However, as we have now over 10,000 users, we had only 3 happenings of harm, of bad comment. This is the goal of it, and this is a magnificent result that 10,000 people, we have over 6,000 publications in the system, over 24,000 comments written between users, and only 3 comments which have been reported on them, and our feed is highly monitored. And this brings the theory when you show the product, when you present a themed product to the customer, they won't be breaking the rules. So our goal of our feed is to make a self-monitored ecosystem with its goal to empower users for positive vibrations and exclude harm in between users, which is actually happening a lot in comment sections, whether it's YouTube, Instagram, or Facebook. And then we are introducing groups, and by groups are very well can be explained as public and private communities. And the groups are led, as I have mentioned before, by many different experts in many different fields. But the question is, why would they be interested to create their own community within the app, within the ShareSpace? And the response to this that we provide total freedom. Within our app, we have more than 100 topics, starting from anxiety and finishing up with financial problems, narcissism, and etc. And this gives a chance to different kind of content creators find the right topic and identify the right format they are willing to be showing their content. They have a chance to choose from journaling, they have a chance to choose from audio, text, from video blogging, and etc. So beside this, we also give them a chance to build their own business model. We are not restricting them by a specific billing period or a subscription fee. We give them a total freedom for someone to choose. For example, I want 100 users with a subscription fee of $5 or $10, and the other one who has a different theme or a topic, they might decide, I would personally work in a more private community with 5 users, and the entrance fee would be about $100, but the quality of my content would be much better. So yeah, we are providing a total freedom on identifying what kind of content and what format, and to choose their own business model which works best for them. And Messenger. At the moment, when we had 7,000 users, we've sent a questionnaire to our users, and over 80% of respondents voted that they really want a private messenger. And we thought that, okay, private messenger is good, they can confidentially discuss different life experiences with other users who they met on the forum, and there is happening a lot of communication between users and people who actually don't know each other, because this is obviously confidential. So this allows a chance to people to open up more openly. And as a messenger, we decided for people to give them additional chance to buy one-on-one services with all kinds of experts, since we have such a wide field of experts, to buy individual packages for 24 hours. And it is also up to a psychologist whether they wanted to sell through text, video, or audio. And but talking about what is our unique value, we might look at any of our potential competitors, such as indirect, as an example, like Talkspace, BetterHelp, or direct, like Vent and Talk Live. And analyzing them, it is seen that they're running through and chasing one of the 2 models. And one of the model is that from one side there is a user, and from the other side there is a psychologist. And this is, for example, BetterHelp. This is usually going through video call. This is quite expensive, even though it's not as expensive as traditional therapy, but that costs more than $120 per session. That is definitely not confidential. Obviously, there are many restrictions for professionals and for users, but in terms of people who are not willing to show their faces, and there are even many people who are scared to send a voice message. And this does not work for many people at all. And talking about our direct competitors, such as Vent and Talk Live, the only thing they have is venting and journaling format, where people make a post and the post is not structured, and it may look like as if a trash of different problems of different people, and this is definitely not an efficient solution in any way for people to resolve their issues. So what we have created is that we are providing a combination of those tools, plus we are not really concentrated only on mental health. Mental health and personal growth is the orientation of creating a new field of well-being social platforms. So as a result, people have a chance to get free or paid experts or content provided by experts, whether they want it in audio or video, audio calls as well, journaling format. And obviously they can find so many more different experts, not just BetterHelp and Talk Live, where they have psychologists and that's it. But we give a chance, same as for the groups, for example, to make a collaboration of a group between a nutritionist and a sportsman, so they can create a unique kind of content and provide and to cover such a big theme of different thematics that each of our users would find what he is searching for, would find what he is really need for of everyday life or personal growth experience. So making peer-to-peer support and affordable expert advice is our goal, to give a chance to all of our users find exactly what they need for. And since we are talking about mental health and personal growth and opening up, we really should take care a lot of confidentiality for our users. And it is really important for us that we offer a wide range of different confidentiality as for the perspective of between user and user mostly. And for example, as I have been talking about sending voice messages, definitely not everyone is fine with sending a voice message and he is still scared or he just doesn't want it. So we provide a chance of placing voiceovers on their voice, so their voice will change and they could easily communicate with other people if they don't want their voice to be heard. Then, for example, as I've mentioned, there's videos and video calls that will be implemented very soon as in BetterHelp, but definitely also not many people want those video calls because maybe the screens might be recorded. And even though there are many restrictions, but who knows that professional on the other side of the screen. So we also give a chance, when we are talking about videos, is to place a face masks on your face that you would personally be not identified. And another very important feature we are trying to implement and explain to our users is there is no more need of uploading profile pictures. And profile pictures are only making different people judge by the way you look. So we are implementing the new system of creating your avatars just based as on iOS by Memoji avatars. You can see those guys, so you can adjust up to yourself the way you want. And through all of this, there is basic list of passcodes and all this stuff, which is we all are already used to, but we wider a much bigger private settings than any other social media in terms of setting your own profile and adjusting all your friends or followers, and we're taking care that we don't gather any of your information in order so that the algorithm did not bring in different users and etc. from similar IP areas and so on. So beside this, we do not identify and we do not request any verification from any of our users, and however, we still do verify content creators. We verify them because we want to make sure that all of the content which is being provided is provided in quality and is highly monitored in order not to harm people. And we do not process and we do not hold any payment processing information. And actually, it's supposed to be very hard to, even though that we're about confidentiality and the user is purchasing something, so they need to leave their credit card details, but In our case, it would be difficult to trace and to combine the specific ID of a user and the payment data, since we don't need to, but we are compliant with HIPAA regulations. HIPAA is required for applications with mental health applications, with mental health applications, telehealth applications, medical health applications. And we are not required to do so, but as for our goal, we've set the requirements that we want to be compliant with them, and we've already done the majority of those checkpoints as data encryption, data storage, double authentication for users, backups, SSL certificates, and there is a much bigger list of checkpoints which we're working on to cover it in quite near future. So, development and future ideas. As I have mentioned before, we have an MVP, and MVP has more than 10,000 users. On Monday, we are launching our new product. Our new product will be ready for the scaling strategy. Within the next months, we are planning to grow and to grow twice, and by the end of April to have over 20,000 users. We have already on our waiting list over 100 different creators who we help them. Since we're still small, we made a unique experience to them, and we help them to identify and create their content plan, the way to make sure that the content they will be providing would be good and it would be accessible and people would actually really pay for that content. So we're launching on Monday. For the next 2 weeks, we will just make sure that everyone will start using the application, make sure of any of the debugs and everything, and within the next 2 weeks, we will launch a monetization feature to all of our creators. Artificial intelligence. Our next step, our next big step would be is the development of AI chatbot. Is for the new users who are actually in a really depressed emotional state, and anyone within a really depressed emotional state, they can have an AI chat, and so our target is that they would not even understand that they're talking with the robot, and in accordance to this, we need AI to analyze the content which is being gathered by our feed in order, because we have feed separated for when somebody is asking a question, and feed separated when somebody is sharing their life experience. And whenever somebody is making a tick mark that this is a issue and this is the problem they're searching for, they're trying to resolve, our target is that AI would provide the users with a resource, for example, a resource link where they can find the response, or with another user who has already passed similar life experience. So we're trying to make it that if somebody has a problem, to automatically within the near time to provide them with the resolution, and if not to help, but at least to make them one step closer to defining their problem. And NFT. NFT came up into our mind actually not that really long ago, and NFT can be used in a couple of different ways within us. First of all, we've been thinking of using NFT as a gamification feature for our most active users, gamification feature or a bonus system. And the second way of using NFT, we're thinking of our creators, and like we are a themed well-being platform, but we have so many different topics and so many different kind of creators. So why not to make the creators themselves a minters who will be creating an specific NFT in terms of, for example, an achievement of something of some growth, or as a help or a support for groups of people who are really in need of some extra help from the outside of the app, which is payable, for example, an operation or something like this. And we are really open to see how can NFT also be additionally used as a feature which can provide us with more confidentiality and data storage, so to separate it and to make it harder to combine all the pieces in one. Continuing with our business model. So since we are so good and we are trying to help everyone, how will we then be earning money? And we are based on two factors, on the commission and on referral network. The commission consists of 30% commission, which is coming to us from every transaction between a user to a creator, whether they're purchasing an entrance fee to a paid group, or in case they're purchasing any extra services provided by the same creators. We have validated our business model, and we have worked already with more than 40 different creators who have. We've been working this model within the MVP we have right now, and everyone seems happy with the 30% commission, and we're planning to continue. And a referral network, which is a good chance for content creators who have many followers within their Instagram or YouTube or any other channel. Promo code will allow them to bring in the people in the system, but a referral network will give them a chance to build their in-app system network, and will give a chance for the next 12 months from the date of registration of the user they brought in to receive additional 5% from all of their transactions which are being spent within our app, and whether it's a spending money or whether it's an earning money from in case they brought a creator itself. And talking about our potential market and total addressable market only of mental health in the United States, but at 21 was 77 billion, and it is doubling by 27. This is only taking into account mental health, not taking well-being and not taking personal growth, which is the market which has basically, obviously it has a limit, but with the potential, the personal growth itself has no limit. Whenever you learn something, then you continue learning something else. So so as a obtainable market, we are thinking to be having by the end of 2024, we are planning regarding to the profit and loss model we have generated, we are planning to have something in between 5.5 and 6 million users, with the conversion of 20 to 25% of a paid users, and an average quartile bill of $90. At the meantime, the average quartile bill is $30. So with different value-added services, we will be rising it up. And in accordance to make sure that all of this amount of people is being provided with good quality content, we need around 500,000 to 600,000 creators registered in the system, but with the conversion of 25 to 35% of them becoming a monetized creators, this is absolutely fine to provide enough of content, quality content from 5.5 to 6 million users from our perspective. So as a result, talking about the social issues which are arising, and not talking only about our business model, and the social issues we are resolving are the harm of mental health and personal growth field in the sphere of online world. We are trying to, as we are attracting users onto our site, onto our application, we are slowing down the increase of social anxiety, which is online social anxiety, which is definitely happening throughout all of the traditional social media such as Facebook and Instagram. And obviously we are increasing the speed of personal growth for many different users. Current resources are inaccessibility, and traditional therapies cost a lot of money. Therapists themselves need places where do they bring in people, and this allows them to manage different business models, but not to go through many different verifications and restrictions which are required by BetterHelp and Talkspace. And within all of this together, we are implementing a new understanding of a well-being social platform with the same mission to connect people, but a place that empowers positive vibrations and exclude harms in between users. And lastly, epidemic loneliness. Believe it or not, but in United States, after a pandemic analysis report, 61% of, as they call them, youngsters are facing tremendous loneliness. And they cannot beat with this loneliness in Facebook or Instagram, because definitely not everybody have friends in their account. So as our society is very open, and we didn't have any harm mentioned before, so our users are really open, and since because of the confidentiality, and since they are not opening their real faces and real names, they are really friendly to each other, and this is a proven theory by our MVP. So our mission is to find experts and experts in different technologies who would help us to implement new technologies in terms of increasing and bettering our confidentiality, to increase the functionality in between users, which as a result will result the lifetime of the users within the app and increase the revenue, and any unique technologies from the outside which can be implemented just to make that uniqueness of our social media different from other social traditional medias what we have now. So lastly, finishing up, our mission is to help people lead happier lives and improve themselves and their mental health with the help of our supportive community. Thank you.
I have a question with regard to the segmentation.
Yeah.
You have an incredible big number, this 25% of your America, for instance, who have a mental health problem. And you talk about segmentation, you talk about users. You have a differentiation between participants and professionals. But with the user, I mean, there are different segmentation like male, female, etc. And we should look a bit more in detail. What are these segments and how do you deal with that? You just cannot just go out with a message to all. How do you deal with that?
So our targeted audience, 70% of our audience is actually female. And our targeted audience, after making custom interviews and sending out the questionnaires, we have identified that almost 50% of the users that came up to us are, no, not 50, 40% of the users who came up to us are the people in a depressed emotional state. They are in the depressed emotional state due to the loss of majorly due to the loss of someone, whether it's an animal or a family member, or due to the rise of some kind of their inner issues. And the second big segment of people who are coming are the people who are in interest of improving on themselves. Those are the people who have seen us on the App Store, Google Play, and through other resources. And since we have, at the moment, we have just little over 75 different topics covering mental health and daily challenges, those are the people who are trying to improve on their topics they're facing with, on the challenges. And the age of those people is in between. So the people in a loneliness, depressed emotional state are the people of the age between 18 and 23, and the people who are coming to us with the interest to learn something new, they are in between their 28 and 35.
I understand. I mean, you reference to Facebook, and Facebook has quite a big number of older people because the young, they just left, kind of.
Thank you much for the presentation. It was I very much like the idea, you know, kind of being a positive force in the online business. My question is, when I'm joining this platform and I'm looking for an expert, you know, how do I find them? Do you have a marketplace? Do they have ratings? You know, like participants rate them or say this, which gives also negativity, like this guy is really not helping me at all. So. Is anything like that in there? So
yes, absolutely. So obviously, as of today, we have no rating because we haven't launched the experts themselves. We're launching in 2 weeks. But yes, we have created a separation page. It's a questionnaire for people who are responding to their. It is like a mood tracker, to which they should respond how they feel today, and provide us with general interests. Plus, in addition to this, as they register, they choose the specific topics, whether it's a mental health or everyday challenge or intention to improve something in yourself. Mm-hmm. So based on the responses they provide us within the registration, we combine the most popular feed posts to their interest, and we show them the leading expert. We will be showing them the leading experts in those exact fields they have chosen for themselves. And since many of the groups are closed groups and you have to pay for them, we require all of our experts to provide with a minimum of 3-day trial to all of the users who are willing to make a purchase, so they would be sure this is the kind of expert they're willing to work with.
You're talking about mental health, you know. So I'm an entrepreneur, and I was thinking we have a group, you know, that among CEOs, you know, start new CEOs, because it's not always easy being a new CEO, and it's not like when you start a company, it's never going to run out by itself, and there is no problems. And so we have kind of an exchange forum, or we meet in person. That's what we do in ONB. We call it Wine and Wine. So so we're complain about all the situation and have a glass of wine. So, but something like that could also move to a platform like this, you know, so where you give, rather than just mental health stuff, you also have other problems that you can cover.
Yeah.
Were you thinking of that? Or?
We are implementing that as well. This is why I said we're covering a wide range of experts, because 2 or 3 weeks ago we have we received a request from business coaches, which have asked us how they can, if we can provide with additional topics to them, so they could create a groups based on how to build their business. And one of the guys, one of the business coaches, he asked if he can make there more than one group, and we said, oh, of course, absolutely yes. And he wants to create a group with how to manage stress if you are an entrepreneur. And then he wanted to, we have a topic called I think it's financial problems. This is the way it's called. Then he wants to create the group under the topic of financial problems, to how to build your mentality of the money and how to attract the money.
How to avoid bankruptcy.
And there was a third topic, but I don't remember. So absolutely yes, we are. This is also, we are trying to widen our range of experts and bring in life experts and business experts and everyone. Just to, the mental health and well-being is just the way of creating our new vision, that it is empowered for help and excludes harm in between users, which is a very big issue nowadays.
I learned from my past that social media applications are also quite infected by word of mouth. I mean, there are people sitting together and say, hey, are you also on Facebook? Great, and then they show stuff and things. How does a conversation go with ShareSpace? Can you explain that a little bit more, so that I understand also the motivation of somebody to act as ambassador, or to tell the people, to friends, you have to go to ShareSpace, it's a good one, etc. Maybe you can elaborate a bit on that.
Yeah, from one perspective it is quite difficult to say that, for example, I'm using mental health app or personal growth app, because then your friend, for example, might think that you have challenges and you don't want that to be. So in this case, we have developed I don't like the word anonymous, but basically this is what it is, anonymous invitations. And the anonymous invitation work that somebody, for example, you want to send an invitation to your friend, but you can't tell him personally, but you really know that he really needs it. So you can't really just forward the link to it. So what we do is that you provide his, no matter is it phone number, email address, or any contact detail, and you just, like, if we send a message to somebody by email or by WhatsApp or by message, somebody reads and then they think this is just ordinary promotion, that just an advertisement, like I don't need this. So what we made is that we are filtering every request, and a person can has to write just one basic fact about that person, which is most likely that the advertisement would not know. Maybe, for example, hey, like for example, it begins like this: hey, I really know that you need to check this app out, and to make sure that this is not just the promotion. Here's the fact about you, known by your friend. And just one common fact, which is known not by the specific person, it may be known from the close circle to that person, but for example, stating the name of his dog, or saying, for example, the place where he lives, or what jacket he's been wearing yesterday when you've been sitting in a group of people. This is enough for the person to know that this is actually somebody from my inner circle, and I definitely need to check this app. And beside this, as talking about word of mouth, since it's difficult for us to grow by word of mouth, this is why we have implemented the referral and promo code network, which will allow just to grow our user base more quickly through different ways, because obviously Instagram and Facebook doesn't have that.
The segmentation of the users,
yeah,
meaning theoretically also old people can go in and they have different mental health. Also, some have different mental health problems. There are some typical ones. I don't know if there is a segmentation of these mental health problems. At least there is a segmentation in the medicine that you can say, listen, this mental health problem is also an illness, also respected as an illness, and you can go to the doctor and he can categorize as
illness. Like we had to be flexible with topics, because topics, some of the topics may be not needed, and other topics, as you said, for example, person and age may face the same anxiety, but the anxiety by itself would be totally different anxiety because of the life experience and of the age at the minimum of it. And since we have we have only 10,000 users, but we are trying to be as much as flexible on adding up not just regular topics, but the topics which are getting more and more popular with this new segment of people who are coming. So on a monthly basis, we analyze, and usually we add 10, 12 additional topics every month. Yep. And in this case, obviously only because of the small user base at the moment, as the user base will grow, even basic topics such as anxiety or stress may be explained and separated more deeply, like stress because of this or stress because of that. So the segmentation would be not only by the age, but also by the topics.
Thank you very much for having the opportunity. As we are a very small group of people here, I have said to Reto yesterday that I will take the opportunity to do a very interactive thing, where we could maybe do some stuff also on the blockchain and so on. But first of all, I want to explain to you why we do such stuff finally. If we have here a look at example Ethereum blockchain, it's today the standard, let's say, in blockchain business for smart contracts, and a lot of smart contracts and transactions and dApps and so on. As we have seen yesterday from your Rainforest project, I think it's a standard smart contract on Ethereum. But if we see here the Ether price as well as transactions, as a gas price and so on, it's horrible to manage a smart contract with thousands of attendees, and maybe in your social network, if you have 1 million users, they do every second a transaction. It's impossible to use if the transaction has a price of $100. It was reality already, time to time. So this is one pain point on Ethereum. Of course, everyone knows that, but another one is also some technical limitations about how many transactions you could do per second. It's a little bit dependent, price, transactions, amount. And on the other side, we have customers that wants to have 100,000 transactions per hour. It's clearly there are applications on the market, maybe social networks, or if you want to really to rescue the full rainforest, you have to do a lot of transactions finally. On the other side, also I know from beach fire games and so on, if you have thousands of gamers, finally it's clear we need transactions in real time. On a game you could not click in a game and wait 3 minutes or a half an hour till transaction is done. If I see the bigger games from Blizzard or whatever, if you trade an item, you want to have it in a second. You not want to pay for an item and wait 3 hours till you could see it in your wallet finally. On the other side, also challenges. These blockchains are, of course, very stable. They are running 10 years without big issues and so on. So it's clear a stable system that is everywhere else running. But on the other side, we have also the challenge that the customers asking us for blockchain technology, but you have to be SOC 2 compliant, ISO certified, ISO certified. You need to confirm that this stuff is running in 10 years. If not, they not want to switch to you and so on. And this kind of problems we have tried to resolve with a piece of technology. It's not completely re-engineered or whatever. We have picked up simply the Ethereum technology and have attached what we need for our own purposes finally, and have then launched our own network that has not this kind of limitations to serve this service to customers finally. We have gave them the name Dragonfly, then is the main net. There is a test net that has the name Mantis, as it is usual today in blockchain to have something like that. We run that by today in a kind of a proof of authority round. It's a Hyperledger Besu based, it's 100% Ethereum technology. So every smart contract that is on the main chain could be also used here on this layer 2 chain. So you have not limitations regarding to that. You could migrate your smart contract without any issue from the mainnet to the side chain and use everything there also. All the wallet technologies like MetaMask or whatever you have will work for that. Regarding to limitations, we have, as we have done it directly in a very big scale finally, so it means we have really tried to do something like 100,000 transactions per second or something like this. So we have done it on the mainframe machines from IBM. That is the validator network in our data centers, and therefore we was able, of course, let's say in an ensured test environment, we was able to do 200,000 transactions per second. So that's the configuration of the network. Now every of this company is running one validator. And if you do a transaction, one of these validators is validating this transaction. We will see that later. Automatically, yes. The network is fully public. You could use it like any Ethereum-based network, so there's no restriction. If you want to deploy your code on this network, you could do it right now. I will demonstrate that later on then. Important is that this kind of validators have finally enough governance to validate a transaction, and that was the most heavy part. Who one is able to do that? If you have a player, let's say from banking sector that has a validator node, then maybe another bank will not join. It's an issue. So I have decided clearly to use more infrastructure related providers that are doing validation, because they understand that this kind of technology is simply something you have to pay for. You will not make money with the base infrastructure technology. Something that should be there, and the providers should put it into the middle of the usability finally, and with the use cases on the top, you could then create your business case, like a social network, like maybe an application, and fungible, non-fungible tokens, or whatever payment methodology, or whatever you want to do on the top. The nice thing about this is really that the high throughput, and of course you not lose the decentralization. You have hundreds of nodes outside there, but you have only a small group of validators finally. That is the, let's say, the base of this. Are here already any questions regarding to validators or so on?
How many do you need minimum? How many would you say you need as a minimum in terms of validators?
It's around 4 to 5 to run the network then. So if the half of the validators is not working, whatever for reason, it's not dramatically, so there is no issue with that. But of course, if it goes through below 4, then it becomes critical. Below 3, it's not an issue. The network is there, but it produces no new blocks. So the network is in fact not down. You have hundreds of nodes, but if maybe you have a half an hour, then no new blocks, no new transactions. So if validators go down, too many of them, then you only not producing any more new blocks. After a while, they are back, and then it goes forward.
So just as a comparison, how many validators does Bitcoin?
Bitcoin has no validators. Bitcoin is doing mining. It's proof of work. So in Bitcoin, you could say something like this: every miner is a validator. So, but that is clearly against speed. So you have more validators, you have proof of work, you have different algorithms there, and then you have, because a lot of guys have to say yes to this transaction, it's clearly slower. So they produce all 20 minutes or half an hour a block. So you have to wait at least a half an hour till your transaction is validated. Here we produce a block every 2 seconds. So that means you have to wait a maximum 2 seconds till your transaction is there, fully validated on the full network. So there's clearly a big difference between a proof of work chain, where a lot of miners or validators have to say yes to something, while here really a proof of authority, an authorized validator could say yes, and then it's true.
If you have 200,000 transactions per second,
it's the maximum that could one block uncover as transaction. So you not validate each transaction, you validate a block, and the block could have a maximum 200,000 transactions. It depends also a little bit on the size of the transaction, you know. So if you do simply a transaction between governance tokens, it could be 200,000. If you make a 10 megabyte smart contract, of course it's not 200,000 per block, then it's maybe 1,000 per block or something. It depends on the size of the transaction finally. But the interesting thing is really that is the same technology. So you have technology-wise 0 disadvantages. Now the philosophic discussion is now, is it good if you have 20 validators? Yeah, maybe for your case is more than enough. Maybe for your case is more than enough. Maybe for whatever case not. So it depends on the use case. So I see clearly layer 2 chains like this. We have quite a lot currently around the space, but fulfill a specific use case. And this is clearly the use case is high transactional throughput, being fast, having a big validity between the validators. And if you have companies like IBM finally, or in this case also Switch and Green, you have already a big governance in Switzerland. Regarding to IBM, they've joined also last year to that. It's clearly it's mainframe based. So mainframe based means it's IBM Word, of course. The way was very short that they say yes, but for them it's also quite interesting to being transaction validator. And now all of these validators have started to bring use cases onto it. We have seen yesterday an example, this NFT watch from Vacheron Constantin. Parts of it are running here on this blockchain finally. So they've clearly also searched for a scalable blockchain, for an SLA-based blockchain, for an ISO-certified blockchain. So you need all these attributes to serve finally a big company there. Yeah, of course, the validators paying for the server or the mainframe, you need to run that, but we sponsor that then to the community. So you not have to, if you want to use that, you not have to pay something for it. So it's clearly, an example, if you have something at Core Technologies, is your technology provider maybe, whatever, then Core Technologies is providing you a full blockchain stack. That means also everything that is necessary to use this blockchain is in this SLA already included. So you not have to buy Ether tokens then or whatever tokens to use that finally. it's included in the SLA normally, and there are a lot of companies that are using that and having it in the SLA, and then also the end users. If you use the application of Richmo finally, as example, you not have to pay on the top for it. So all the wallets are automatically funded for doing transactions and so on. So the governance is clearly gas-free, and it's not gas-free, but it's not, let's say, you not have to pay for it to have it. But of course, from mechanism, it's clearly gas. It's there, but it costs you nothing, and is neutralized. There is a mathematical model behind that. It's maximum inflationary. So let's say like that. So you have always way too much of tokens. So it's simply, this token could really not be a speculate thing, an investor thing, or whatever this governance token. If we have an example, Polygon network, it's the Matic. So let's see, where is it? Here, network Explorer. Explorer. So let's have a look at that. Yes, here. So the Polygon token. In fact, you have exactly the same issue as on the Ethereum network. Okay, it's 10 times less, of course, same issue. The governance token could be an investment vehicle. There are clearly a lot of investors that are betting that this governance token is maybe in a year 10 times more worth. So they bet that the transaction costs go 10 times up, you know. So finally, Polygon, of course, is resolving it at a specific point that it's cheaper than Ethereum transaction, but they not resolve the mathematical issue with it finally. A chain, or not only Dragonfly, but chains like Dragonfly really resolve that issue, but they need other models to serve the clients, like SLA. You must have everywhere else a model where you have the regulated the work together finally.
And how much cheaper would Dragonfly be for if you compare transaction cost to Polygon?
Yeah, I could say, if you have, at example, one Dragonfly token, you could do 100,000 transactions. That is a thing. Cost of Dragonfly is zero if you are in an SLA-based contract, so you not have to take care about it. It's part of the package normally of the software you're using. If you use a wallet software from, an example, Switch or Core Technologies or whatever, then this is inclusive in everything. If you want it completely outside of that, you have to pay something like 40 to 50 Swiss francs for one token, and you could do with that 100,000 transactions. So normally one Dragonfly is enough for next 2 years. I don't know. So it's in fact this layer is not existing there. You know, it's you could create an ERC20 token that has a lot of value. Let's say like that, but it's impossible to use the governance token to any kind of speculation or whatever. I think that was the most important thing as the baseline finally to ensure on a long term that no one comes around the corner and say, hey guys, I have a good idea, here's another governance token, not valued today, but it's undervalued, you know. in 3 months it's 10 times more valued, and then yeah, you have the issue. You could not stop that. It's a public blockchain, you know. But here it's impossible. We produce so many tokens per second. It's and that is clearly part of the strategy on the long term, that it's impossible that this token could be not inflationary. So we produce in any case more tokens that you could burn per second. That is ensured from this point of view. But we explicitly allow everything. That means if you want to create your ERC20 token for your rainforest project, of course, that is then clearly there possible, and this has then a value finally. Whatever you say, this is not related to the governance token. In general, it's a standard Ethereum blockchain, so everything is exactly the same, I would say. There is no difference between, exactly same features. Solidity is the programming language, so there is not something we have invented. We have used Hyperledger Besu. It's clearly standard Ethereum technology. There's one difference regarding to technology. We allow private transactions. That means if we too want to do a private transaction, we could do it. That means you see then only the transaction hash on the blockchain, and that's it. This is not a private transaction, I've only opened it, but you see then absolutely no details here. You see only here the transaction hash, and that's it. That's a private transaction. That is very important because a lot of customers want to have that. A lot of technologies on the market like Hyperledger Fabric and Corda and other blockchain types has these features too, but it's super complicated to do. Here I could simply say on initializing the transaction, I want to only that your wallet address could see this transaction. That's it, that's all what I have to do. Then if I initiate the transaction, everyone else that want to see this transaction is simply not able to see this transaction. Another level of security is you could define which nodes could see transactions. So you could say on wallet level, or you could say on a node level. If, for example, in Switzerland, big company A want to work together with big company B, and everyone could see every transaction of each company, you would make two nodes that are transparent to each other, and you not do wallet by wallet. That's too granular and not usable finally. On the other side, you have here also, everything same as I've said. You have from to smart contract, you have gas and so on, but the gas price is finally absolutely nothing. You have here same thing as a read contract. It's like Etherscan. You could do everything you want to do. It's the standard block scout explorer you see these days on a lot of Ethereum-based POA chains finally. The masterpiece is finally run that stable with these big players and on a long term. That is clearly the challenge. But since all these players have use cases on the blockchain that matching this Dragonfly use case, clearly they have committed to do that the next couple of years. We have SLAs by ourselves to the customers and so on. That is very important to ensure that this blockchain is running at least next 10 years, because we have simply to deliver our customers what we have signed with them. There is no way to not do that finally.
I just wondered about this peak when you see, I think that was 20th March, something like that?
Yes.
Is that, how would you explain that?
Don't know, someone else had done 4,000 transactions. I don't know.
Where is it?
It's a public blockchain, I don't know. I was not the guy, but someone else has done that day there. Maybe, don't know, test or...
Okay, then we have...
maybe Richmo has sold a lot of watches at that day. No, it's I don't know it. Every watch will be scanned and it's on the blockchain finally, so... Maybe, we not know it. Of course we could, I don't know if we click on that, if we see something here. No, that's not possible. Huh? No, here you see, here we have a minting, here we have a queuing, here we have acknowledge. But finally, if we click in, we could maybe see what's this for a smart contract, but I have not really an idea. So this one is upload. We see it, the code is verified, but I don't know what is it finally, so it's someone else that is using that. It's same if you ask me on Etherscan what this transaction is, I have also no clue what is it, so but we will do then a couple of transactions now and then we see. What we are doing right now with two use cases. One is initializing a ERC20 token. It's a Cryptomountain token, and then I distribute if anyone else has also a wallet address. I will do it on a private key that is initialized with these famous devices we had here yesterday from Robert, from the Securosys thing. So we are using in our data center for managing private keys, specifically this Securosys HSMs, finally, for all that stuff.
Check it. I've sent you.
Thank you. Let me open here the one. So, I use here the Remix Ethereum.org is a standard programming user interface in the internet for making smart contracts. Create here a sample of based on a standard ERC20. And what I want to ask for you is, firstly, a lot of people thinking there are a lot of smart contracts. So, in fact, you have 3 real cases. You have the fungible, the non-fungible, and then the mixed. The fungible token is the ERC20. It's clear it's de facto standard worldwide today for fungible tokens. Of course, you could add your own methods on the top of the standard functionality. On the other side, you have the ERC 721. That's a standard NFT. We will see it then afterwards for the example of your ShareSpace NFT. On the third one is a mixed. It's clearly if you have fungible and non-fungible mixed. So maybe if you say non-fungible, you say there is a Mona Lisa. But what you want to do if there are 2 Mona Lisas? So if you have that case, you do a mix of non-fungible and fungible tokens. You say I have 2 Mona Lisas, and then so these cases are also existing specifically in the retail, let's say, and consumer electronics or whatever. You have 100 times same product, but it's an NFT mixed fungible token finally. What we will pick up right now is an ERC20. There's a fungible case as well as the non-fungible token where we do then some interesting things maybe on the blockchain. So normally, if you initialize such a smart contract, you have to wait to 20 minutes or a long time till it's initialized and there and ready to use. I have done here a very brief example of Cryptomountain tokens. Now let's go to the deployment. I have already connected for this example here my MetaMask account. Here with initially there was 1 Dragonfly on it. And now I initialize here this Cryptomountain token here on that. Let's say we want to initialize 100 Cryptomountain tokens now on this blockchain here. Then I could simply click here on I want to do it. And then MetaMask is asking me, hey, I want to create now this transaction here. If I do that, it takes now 1 or 2 seconds, and then it should be directly visible on the Block Explorer finally. Let's have a look here where we have it. So we have here already the token minting and so on. It's already all there. So you see it goes quite quick. You click and it's there finally. If you do whatever for a transaction finally, let me go back to Remix here, then what we see here also is the MetaMask is now slower than the blockchain himself. So it's waiting on confirmation, but it's already on the blockchain through. And that is exactly how our customers that are using that stuff expecting the speed of that stuff. Because if you talk about games, if you talk about direct interaction of users and so on, you could not wait 20 minutes for such a stuff. And in a lot of cases, you need not a confirmation of 10,000 nodes. So it's clearly, obviously not needed for having maybe in your ShareSpace case whatever confirmation. It's simply a validation of a very small thing, and it's okay if it's only a good validator is doing that. And I will send you first some dragonflies. So here we see then we have here V1 Block Explorer. We see it here. You have everything is there. Smart contract is created. Let's go.
The smart contract with your wallet?
Sorry?
The smart contract in your wallet or not?
Yeah, the token is not right now in my wallet. I could add then this as a token, of course, and then I have it here in my assets. I have then here import tokens. But first we need to figure out the address here of the token. So this is the address then here. Let's see. But let's get firstly surely the address of you, and then I will here. Here, this is your address, huh? Okay, I will pick up that. Then I will send you some Dragonfly tokens here now. So 0.05. Confirm duck. So it's already done. So you, of course, you are not now connected with your MetaMask maybe to the Dragonfly chain, but you should already have received it. So if you want to connect that now to your exactly, if you go to the website here on the dragonfly.phoenix-technologies.ch at example. You have on the top the data, the chain ID and everything you need. And if you click here on RPC endpoints, you have also all the endpoints and everything you need to use it in your MetaMask. If you're in a browser like myself here, you could simply click there. It's not visible now, but
Dragonfly chain ID.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so this is in general the use case. Let's say like fast, super speedy, and having a lot of transactions. If I do here a minting now, or buying a token or whatever, it takes a long. So of course it takes a while. Sometimes maybe 20 minutes, sometimes half an hour, sometimes 3 minutes. You have no guarantee that it's doing. Yeah. No, use it for your experimental purposes. It's fine. But this stuff is really working out of the box exactly same as every Ethereum network. So the thing is really here, if you have an Ethereum case here, and you maybe, because at example your project is heavily, let's say also in German is the word spenden. Intensive of spenden, or you have maybe public money or whatever you receive everywhere else, and then it's practically also not a good idea to use this for paying gas fees, you know. So that is a very, also I have seen a lot of these projects, and with such a chain where you could use it practically for free, of course these players behind use it also for the use cases, but you could save a lot of money. Very first thing, you have more speed, you have validity from big players finally. Of course it's not the same, let's say, pirate mentality behind as the overall decentralized super blockchain, where I'm personally fully believe into it. But we have also on the other side use cases to fulfill, we have business that we need to fulfill, and we have a real world in IT that we have to fulfill, and there's quite a big gap. And I see Dragonfly finally something on the way to having finally then everywhere else the perfect algorithms or blockchain. But it's a good mix already for, at example, also big companies to use that stuff finally, of course.
So in this case here,
yes,
right now we're using Ethereum.
Yes.
And as you said, the price for, first of all, the price of Ethereum, since we set the ticket price, has gone up. So the actual dollar amount per thing there, per
yes,
block, whichever block which shows from the beginning, has also gone up.
Correct. It must be the case, eh?
Yes. Now, if we were,
if our NEA, the NEMOS Economic Activity Token,
yes,
would be using the Dragonfly.
Yes. You don't have any more that issue.
Right.
It's clear the case. You have no volatility in this governance token.
And could we still implement that sigmoidal curve where we reward the early adopters and then eventually it becomes a stable coin?
Yes, that is not, it's simply exactly same technology. So if you have a smart contract or a couple of smart contracts, you could simply deploy those on Dragonfly and that's it.
And it would go faster?
Yeah, it's much more faster, yes. But on the other side, clear, this
is amazing.
But to say, there is a big difference. In Ethereum, you have 100,000 validators and nodes around worldwide mining. It's completely decentralized. And here, the power of authority is clearly centralized to this, let's say, 20 players. But we talk here about IBM, you know. We talk here about the Green, we talk here about Switch, is de facto a Swiss government finally, and so on. So it's really good distributed. I would say it's already enough for your case.
Over time, you would probably have 100 validators.
Yeah, let's say from performance point of view, if you want to have this 200,000 per second at the maximum, then the optimum is 30.
30, okay.
Yes, yes. But it could be 100 finally. But then the network becomes slower. It's clearly same game. If you have 300,000 validators, then again you are again same slowness as Ethereum. So, but yeah,
I believe it would definitely add value to add some nodes with a reputation connected to rainforest, for instance.
Yeah, if maybe WWF wants to have a validator node, that would be a good idea, an example, you know. So that is exactly the strategy. We not want to have the use case as a validator finally there, but maybe a big supporting company that enables then for all the use cases this blockchain. So an example, what is the biggest company worldwide, let's say a little bit government supported, that is protecting rainforest?
Well, one interesting name would be Bureau Veritas.
Yes.
They are huge. I think they're the global leader in agricultural certification.
Yes.
And they're just now getting into forest certification. And we are actually the first case for them to get into this CO2 certification for forest.
So what is maybe interesting now that this company is running a validator and enabling for everyone that is working with them together this blockchain.
Could be very interesting, I think. Very interesting.
And that is exactly what we are doing with the Dragonfly then. We not search for the single use case that is running the validator. That makes no sense. It costs you simply only a bunch of money and you will have never a benefit on that because it's inflationary in square. But if there is an enabler for a specific branch of use cases, then this makes sense. We have an example one also for logistics. It's the Logi chain. Then we have another one that is more in the lending and borrowing case and so on. So, but all of these are let's say enablers of a whole full industry finally, and they are granting then the access to the blockchain through the SLA. If you then are in the consortium of this group, you're saying, you then have automatically enough tokens to put your use case onto that.
Yeah. No, very interesting. We definitely must explore.
Yeah, absolutely. It's in general a use case, I would say. Even if Ethereum is resolving the issue with the gas fees, it's interesting to have such a blockchain, you know. So it's a completely different use case. The main chain will be in any way the validator master chain finally. But the use cases on the top, the customers that are using is, of course, there we have then a use case there we could produce software, or they need then additional servers in the data center, but the blockchain himself costs only money. That's it. So, but that was the key. That was the key to do it in the correct way. So, if you want to make profit with that, you have already lost the game.
So if we were to adopt Dragonfly, how would you actually make money on that then? You wouldn't.
No one. Simply, the validator believes that we need to have a global network for such cases.
Because normally after some there's enthusiasm, but normally if you don't earn money or somehow survive, then people get uninterested.
No, it's of course we have our own use cases on it, and that's it. So
but you get paid for this for a service level agreement. Then,
yeah, yes, exactly. If we have a service level agreement with a big company finally that is go through, let's say, Phoenix Systems, then of course this company Phoenix Systems has whatever annual recurring revenue on that.
So this would be Bureau Veritas, for example, does a contract, and that's
maybe we don't know it if they need something, but if they only want to use it, there's no
fee.
No fee, yes.
Yeah.
Maybe they say you run that and we want to have it, so we pay a fee in that range here to ensure next 5 years an SLA-based thing. So what is the interesting case finally is also, let's say if you do that, it's a long-term thing. You want to, let's say, rescue the rainforest is a project that maybe takes next 25, next 200 years. I don't know. Yeah, 2 generations. So now what is interesting, this company must ensure that this blockchain is mostly run a long time. And of course, as long as we all have a lot of other use cases, there is no danger that this blockchain will be no more running. If you have enough use cases, there's no issue with all of that. But of course, if you then the last remaining use case, then of course maybe this company says then, hey, okay, it's very important for us. We run our own validator node, and then this validator node costs a little bit. I don't know, $500 per month or whatever a virtual machine costs. But with that validator, they generate so much of tokens that they could serve their whole ecosystem with that.
But what's the minimum amount of transactions I can buy, and how can I buy them? Can I just log into your website and?
It's not really a buying. It's more, let's pick up Switch. It's a good example. Here, validator nodes, let's pick up Switch. Switch is serving in Switzerland to all the universities technology, let's say like that. And now if a university wants to use a blockchain, they could also use Dragonfly for that. And the universities receives automatically from Switch tokens. Switch is running a validator, make the network stronger, and is rewarded by tokens.
Switch token?
No, Dragonfly tokens, of course, yes.
You said before the Switch token. But Dragonfly tokens are worthless.
Absolute. They run a validator, and means they create access for all their customers for Dragonfly finally with that. And the only thing they have to pay is the virtual machine to run a validator.
You looks like a hunter for the wallet's customer. If I will use the Dragonfly,
yes,
all my customers come to Dragonfly and will use the Dragonfly. No, it's like...
Yeah, of course. That is in the nature of blockchain. Yes, but it's 100% correct. But therefore also, because we know that there's an issue specifically in B2B industries, we have the private transactions finally.
In this case, you create value for your token for the future. It's not the close future, the long future.
It's more like that. Let's say Phoenix Systems has customers that need to have a blockchain, as well as Switch, IBM, Core, Green, Celeste, and other companies. But it makes no sense to run every in these companies their own blockchain or their own network, like Hyperledger Fabric is designed for, finally, an example. Or also on the other side, Corda. A lot of companies or small consortium running their own ledger. That makes, finally, an example regarding to interoperability simply no sense. Means today maybe IBM has a use case to run on it, as well as Phoenix Systems and Switch. But now, if Switch want to work together with IBM, an example, they have already a protocol they could share.
And directly
yes, they talk everywhere else the same language on Dragonfly.
If we were to go with Dragonfly, the agreement would be with Phoenix System in this case.
Yeah, if you not have the company that you have mentioned before, as a validator, could be Phoenix, Switch, IBM, whatever you want. Of course, it must be one of these validators finally, But if this company you have mentioned earlier is a validator, you could also do it with them.
Understand. But then you would be earning on them because they would establish a node. And
they only have to commit to run a validator. That's all. Because they make the network stronger, they get incentivized by tokens.
So we have this blockchain Dragonfly, and I think, as Anna said, it's one system. So if IBM has a use case, it runs on the same Dragonfly system as the switch use case,
correct,
as the core use
yes,
case.
Correct.
And let's say if they're really all very successful, at some point they might make more than 200,000 transactions per second. You know?
Yes.
Then you would need another Dragonfly system, or
maybe we need to change the parameters on the blockchain to have 400,000 transactions per second.
Okay, then I understand that part. Now, let's say I'm an American and I don't really care about the Swiss companies being validators, and
yes,
I would like to have the same system running in the US, but
yes,
with US validators.
Yes.
So I would have to copy this.
Yes.
And run it there. Yeah.
Yes.
That wouldn't be Dragonfly, it would be US Dragonfly.
No, it's a Dragonfly is a hexapod, of course. Mantis testnet is also hexapod, so maybe you have to do the end chain or whatever. So it's another hexapod then. No, the whole thing is completely public. If someone else wants to copy it and create another consortium, whatever for reason, for other use case or whatever, it's Hyperledger Besu, so it's not a hidden source or whatever. So what we have done here is more the toolbox to run it finally. But we know all that the magic behind the proof of authority network are the authorities, so it's not really the technology.
Is the validator is chosen by random algorithm, or is this a...
No, in our case it's round robin now. We have, it's all the time the same thing. And if one is not there, it jumps over to the next. So.
And I guess the validator needs to have some kind of good network connection and performance.
Yes, the network will reject then constantly your validations if you are too poor on let's say technical reasons.
Too slow.
Yes, slow, or it takes too long till you validate and so on. So it's the algorithm behind is an IBFT. So it's this Istanbul Byzantium. I don't know. Yes, it's the IBFT 2.0 algorithms that we are using there.
But if, for example,
yes,
I own my MetaMask wallet.
Yes.
Owns a smart contract.
Yes.
And I want to bring in different wallets to increase the balance of the smart contract itself. For example, let's say the smart contract is based on the Ethereum balance, right?
Yes.
And I have 100 wallets coming in tomorrow.
Yes.
And so what is the procedure of setting up that smart contract with the upload to your blockchain in order to allow those 100 transactions to be processed by your network and to get on the balance of that
it's exactly the same as on Ethereum finally, because same technology there too. Let's do now the example of the ShareSpace NFT. This is interesting now. So let me pick up here the contract. Also here is an example from Open Zeppelin. I have listened a little bit what you are doing, and I've tried to do something. So we do here now. We do here now the ShareSpace item. So you have talk about gamifications and so on. So I assume, let's say item, you have items on your ShareSpace app finally, and the users of ShareSpace could share items finally. Let's not define more detail what items these are. It's now a classical ERC 721, so every item could exist really only one time. So if I say I have a glass, it's exactly that glass, there's no other option. So let's deploy now firstly that smart contract. Let me go here again, and then let me choose here this ShareSpace NFT, then deploy, add item, blah blah blah. Let's try into the blue. It now estimates the gas fees and so on. So let's do now here on this transaction, confirm. Let's see how it goes. Now it's everywhere else on the blockchain, I think so. Debug. Success already. Let's go to the block explorer now. We see here contract creation directly. Of course, now contract is not uploaded, so it's simply the raw code. That means the blockchain himself not knows, has no idea what this contract is for. So if you not upload the code and verify the code, then no one could say what this contract is doing. Also on Ethereum, same thing. So if you see on Etherscan this famous stuff, everywhere else, someone else has uploaded the source code of the contract. We will skip that because we have the source code. We not need to do that. Let's now interact a little bit with this ShareSpace items. So we have here a couple of methods that it has created. So we could award an item to a player, at example. A player is now here a user of your blockchain. So let's do that. So I will pick up again your address here. Let's do that. So let's try. Whoops. So, and then I will create whatever for an item. So what is your URL? ShareSpace Hilf. Let me do a virtualized test URL now. Let's do an item here. Let's say / item1.json, whatever is there, then we not know it. Interesting item. So let's do a transaction now. And now I send it to you. It's already confirmed on the blockchain. Let's go back to the chain here. Whoops. So here we have a token minting now, ERC 721 token minting. And if we are let's see. No, not sure. But of course, maybe, I don't know if MetaMask supports ERC 721, maybe not. But we have clearly now it's decoded. So we see the Block Explorer has now decoded that, and you are now the owner of the NFT item 1 of ShareSpace.com, whatever is it. And now it's everything is already done. So this NFT smart contract is online, it's minted, the token is there. So you could use that now for one user, for 100 million users. It's up to you. So this smart contract is now existing. And finally, of course, that's already everything. So. It has detected here also that was the Cryptomountain token, sorry. That was the minting from before now. Was too fast here. I need to refresh maybe the thing here. Yeah, here is the token minting. The thing before was here we see a token ID now. Token ID 1 SS item, so ShareSpace item. And here we see the data and the ownership of your wallet finally. And the Block Explorer shows that you own one token here that is a ERC 721 contract, a ShareSpace item.
In their case, this item would probably include text or pictures or
I
something.
have now added a JSON. So
but how do you add how do you include that in the NFT?
Yeah, that is done automatically by hashing the content. It was an empty content right now, so it has. I don't know what.
But you literally copy paste, or how do you select that?
Most of the NFTs are only linked to a URL where the picture is or whatever. So there is not really a content behind. So Let's try an example. My own MetaMask is able, I think so here, to handle ERC 721 tokens. If you click here import tokens, you have to copy paste the token address here at example into it, or in your case I could send you the address of the ShareSpace item, and you could add on your mobile phone this token, and then you should see that you own this token. Let's try that now shortly. I go here to the transaction. I will send you back now by email this smart contract address here. So let me do that here. So what he could do now with this address is adding that to his MetaMask finally. Let me try that too. I don't know if my browser MetaMask is supporting ERC 721, but let's see. Oh yeah, it does, eh? Oh no, okay, it expects an ERC20 token here on the MetaMask in browser, but I know that they are working on that stuff to support it also in the browser, but the mobile phone is supporting that stuff.
So an NFT by definition is the 721 ERC.
It's ERC and yeah, it's the same, yes.
So when we have the MetaMask on our site, that's not going to work.
Not with this version. I'm not 100% sure. I'm using not all the time MetaMask, so I only know that on mobile phone it's standardized implemented, and I know that it will be definitely also implemented in the browser version finally. Maybe I'm doing something wrong here. We have created the NFT that you have now owned on your mobile phone, and now let's do the following, because you have now some dragonflies and I have some dragonflies. So now the decentralization comes through us finally. Let's share my mobile MetaMask with you, and you send me this NFT and I send it finally also back, because this is till here it's not really magic. Till here it's my secure environment, but now we come to a big issue in the industry, the secondary market. He could now, as soon as it's out of my ownership wallet, let's say like that, he could send it to me without any issue. So let me send you my address shortly. I need to copy paste it here. It takes a while, and that is one of the big issues in the industry. Whatever is it a share ad example, he could send it now around. We have no more control. So we need to add some elements into the blockchain finally, where we make KYC or whitelist or block or blacklist or whatever, where only a small amount of wallets are able to use the smart contract, and all these wallets must be. I have sent it.
Yeah. Email or LinkedIn?
By email I have sent it you, and this is if you send the NFT, you could send it to this address. So the issue is their secondary market. We say, it's cool, free world. Every bank is saying, holy shit, that will never work. And it's exactly the big issue, but it becomes more and more standard that the smart contract are supporting interfaces that allows to do legal stacks on left to right.
Submitted, yeah.
Okay, cool. Let's see here on the blockchain. Now decentralization. So he has sent it to my mobile phone, and we see here a token transfer. In best case, this is the initialized token ID1 SSITM. So everyone could see that from this address to this address, we have now transferred this very first NFT of ShareSpace item. So let me see on my mobile phone here, should be also here. Let's see if I have a Dragonfly on the networks. Is also something.
But it is very important to have Dragonfly in order to make a transaction, correct?
Yes.
Everyone customer should know about the way how they
will send money to us?
It's this connect button there, because you could not expect that they add it by hand. That will not work.
But this is also possible. For example, if I own a smart contract and,
yes.
and a user wants to submit me, for example, Ethereum,
yes.
the gas fee which is in Dragonfly, which is 0 point something
yes.
over there, it can be paid by me as a by my contract.
Yeah, of course, yeah. That is also possible. Yes. So it depends on your smart contract development, finally.
All payments in and all payments out will be
by our contract. It's possible, correct?
Yes. So it's clearly up to the developer, not only, but it's clearly up to the developer how you want to manage that. Let me add here shortly the
So basically, I just need to buy these Dragonflies.
Yeah, or make an SLA or run a validator. It's up to you how you want to participate.
How can I run a validator?
Yeah, finally, it's a Docker container you have to run. Then you have to ask for being a validator. And then at least 66% of the existing validators have to say yes. And afterwards, you're a validator and earn every 2 seconds tokens for your ecosystem. That is then fully automatically, yes. No one could have an influence on that.
Can the existing validators kick you out if they don't like you?
Yes, but there are rules how this must be, and it's on-chain programmed. So at example, there is more or less one rule. Don't do evil stuff. It means evil stuff means in that case you need to commit only to one thing. If you create software directly in or for Dragonfly, you have to do it open source under GPL GNU license. That is the only rule. If you break that rule, then they could kick you out finally. But if you program on the top of the very first layer commercial software by yourself, it not have to be open source, of course. But if you create a block explorer, at example, for the universe or the ecosystem, then clearly must be open source finally. And on the other side, it's also important if a school, a university, or any educational institution wants to have access to it, it must be for free. That are the two things that are existing. So we clearly support heavily also on their side universities and all that stuff, because I personally believe that this is a technology for the future, and if you are everywhere else in school, you should be able to use it for free. So the access must be easy. If the access is a very... Yeah, if you're a student, you could not pay $100 transaction fee. It would be quite heavy. A private transaction. That we could not do here right now because we need to configure our own node to make private transactions each together. So that would be quite... But it's clearly, it's also open. It's Hyperledger Besu. If you go to Hyperledger Besu documentation and have a look into how private transaction works, it's not something we have invented by ourselves right now. So we have not developed the blockchain technology himself. That is, but I'm also a big fan of not reinventing all the time the wheel. So I think the last thing the blockchain world needs is another blockchain.
But every time you have to import NFT, it imports not automatically, so you should manually add the address to it.
No, it depends on your wallet software. It's MetaMask now. If you have maybe a more, let's say, a more proper. So, what is one of the things I could not show to you here is I could not connect my mobile phone to the Beamer, but I have now received the ShareSpace NFT from you. So we have seen here a completely decentralized thing finally. I will send it then back to you, of course, in a couple of minutes. But we have done now here a full cycle of creating smart contracts, sending NFTs, making ERC20 tokens, creating a Cryptomountain token in I don't know, it was a half an hour, 45 minutes or whatever. So I would also what I would also to show you a little bit is this is not a magic. It's something very easy to do. So sometimes someone else comes to you and say you have to pay for a smart contract 100,000 Swiss francs. You know now that there are guys around the world that could do that in 20 minutes for you. So it's really, it depends on the use case. Let's say like that. If you are a bank or insurance and you need a smart contract that is, let's say, bulletproof as possible, you need an auditor. You need maybe a big four company for that. You need that, of course, then you have a very high price finally on the full package. If you want to do an ERC20 for managing small stuff finally or whatever, there are enough good contracts in the open source community finally from Open Zeppelin. All these contracts are very well proved. Thousands of contracts around the world are using that. So, of course, potential of a bug finally. But I would say the majority of smart contracts are using simply Open Zeppelin contracts finally because they are actualized, updated, and having most important stuff there. Decentralize everything as well. What I want to show here is a real game with real-time transactions. So it's the same question again. If you do that on a blockchain that is maybe not, let's say, in real time, you could only validate your stuff on Ethereum main chain or Bitcoin or whatever. But in fact, you could not do real-time transactions finally. I don't know if you know the game here, but maybe you know it. We have to figure out with a couple of tries which is the correct order here of this thing. And on the right side we see transactions if we have then the correct order of this mantis and dragonflies. we win then something, and there is a list of gamers, and the best one receives all 3 months the whole pot of tokens finally. It's something like this. So let's give a try. Please help me. If anyone else is very good in this game, then support me here at the moment. Let's try now. If I'm not 100% wrong, yes, I have to click what kind I will have here. So let's do. Now I do a check. And now I see directly, I do a transaction for that thing, and I have seen on the right side immediate interaction. So here only one of these 4 things was correct. If I'm not 100% mistaken, we not know which one was correct. Is this correct, Reto? I not know the game 100%. So, okay, let's give the next round. Let's assume that the first one was the correct one. Place it again, and then all the other was completely wrong. Let's pick up here something like this. Then here maybe this one, and then here we have the yellow mantis. Let's try next round. Okay, 2 correct. So the first one was definitely wrong. Okay, then one of the other one was correct. Let's try like that. But two ones was good. Let's try this here maybe, something like this. Checked in. Okay, that means it could be the case that the green mantis was the good one. Let's go forward with that. But only one of the others was now correct. So the replacement of here we have 2 correct. Okay, that is interesting now. Let's try then here like that, and then the yellow mantis here maybe, and then here this mantis here. Dragonfly, sorry. Oh, that means the green mantis is completely wrong at all. But it's interesting. Here we had a match, and here we had a full match. So that means this green or this red here was correct. Okay, then let's do a try. Ja, das ist wahr. So what we have here, the green one is here, was this one. Then here we had also a full match. It looks like the yellow mantis was not completely wrong, but the green mantis was fully not correct. Let's do this here now. Again, okay. Oh my God. Yeah, let's stop here regarding to having a presentation that is not too long finally. Huh? If we have here a look at the game himself or at the competition, you have here a ranking list where other players are gaming best average with 4 attempts. At example, they have resolved the game. So, and they completely doing it in real time. So, of course, it's not let's say a 3D shooter game or whatever where you need millisecond reactions, but it looks like it's obviously already possible to play games in real time that has purposes like that. Of course, I know it's a very simple created game and so on, but it's absolutely possible. So you could decentralize that stuff. It's a smart contract that is running elsewhere else. Only to say it's also not a vendor that has bring out that game or whatever. It's completely decentralized finally. Simply all the nodes are running this game finally, and that is interesting point, I would say, to decentralize. For us, let's say crypto geeks is more clear, decentralized finance is something we know. Decentralized tokens, decentralized nodes, whatever. We know how decentralization works, but it's quite heavy to say decentralize in real time. You know, there's a quite different level finally. Also, if we talk about maybe load balancing or whatever, if you not know which node you connect in a very quick response time you need for whatever. And if we have a look again into maybe then your map and your application here, if we talk about gamification or whatever inside of the application himself, of course it would be obviously not that game that you provide there finally, but also there the user is expecting some real time experience. They not are happy with waiting 20 to 25 seconds. If we have a look at these other games like Axie Infinity, you know Axie Infinity?
No.
Not? You not know it?
Sure.
Axie Infinity is a interesting game. Axie Infinity is a game, something like, I don't know, Pokemon or whatever. Then you have everyone is owning such creatures and you fight against other. And they had also at the beginning, they was on the main chain of Ethereum, and it has simply ridiculous transaction fees. It had no more worked. Afterwards, they have also done exactly the same. They have created their own layer 2 chain and then have speed up the transaction confirmations finally, and now it's more or less a real-time game. And that is quite popular worldwide. It's one of the most popular games in crypto space, this Axie Infinity. But it's a very simple game. You could own NFTs, of course. You could own these creatures, and you could fight against each other. So it's quite interesting. But this is also completely decentralized, and you could not imagine. What do you think? How much worth such a creature has? We will go shortly in a second to the marketplace. So.
You will be shocked.
Yeah, that I could already agree on.
This is a blockchain game, yeah?
Yeah, completely blockchain based, NFT based, yes.
And the creatures, they earn real returns.
Yes, if you win, you will get a small love portion, and that has a really value in US dollars.
Okay, so that's why they're expensive then.
Yes. So
NPV.
let's see the statistics. So today they had already they have sold already on the marketplace around 1 million. So you have 21,000 Axies are sold by today. and in average they cost, of course, here something like $121. But there are axes on the market that has a price of 100 Ether or something like this. I don't know. And there are quite interesting articles in Asia newspapers. Whole small villages are only gaming this shit. Huh? So, yeah, why?
Maybe we put how we need that village I showed with the indigenous. We put them on this one, and then they don't need to work any
but if you if you play that maybe something like 8 hours per day, you earn something like $100 if you're good. So it's quite more than your monthly salary in a lot of countries. So it's, the only thing you need is a mobile phone. Everyone has this. So it's, but of course it's not sustainable in my eyes, but it's there. Huh? So, but that is also, and that is quite big. So the millions of players are playing that worldwide and so on. So I would say in general blockchain games are today reality. It's not something that it's coming maybe in a couple of years around the corner. But it's quite at the beginning, but it's really in the mainstream now. On the other side, we have also these NFTs from football teams where every player is an NFT, and that stuff could quite have a big value, a player, if you have only one Ronaldo on the blockchain. And if you play on PlayStation FIFA, for example, and you could own only one player could have the best player, at example. So maybe that opens a new championship modus or whatever finally. So all this is coming to the space. It's there. Decentralization means what you're decentralized finally. Of course, we could say we decentralize finance. What we decentralize, it's the algorithms that is calculating something finally. Let's say the swap, the exchange, the liquidity pool, or whatever we have, we could decentralize that. It's a smart contract in a blockchain that runs everywhere else. No one is the owner. Best thing for the guy that has programmed it, the baddest thing for the regulator. So, on the other side, you could also decentralize the game itself. We have seen this game or another game, you could really run the full game as a smart contract if you want. Or you could simply only decentralize the let's say on this Axie Infinity stuff, the ownership of the item or of the animal here or whatever is it. And then the game himself is an engine that runs outside of the blockchain. So there are quite a lot of levels where you could have decentralization finally, and where it makes maybe more sense and where maybe not. So this is also regarding to you, then if you see your app, this ShareSpace, where you see finally decentralization. If you talk about gamification, where you see it's more the ownership of the item in the game, or do you see the full game as a decentralized box? Completely.
Why not?
Yeah, I see it too. Why not? But it makes not in any case sense. So sometimes it's good only to have the ownership, and sometimes it's a good idea to have the DApp, the decentralized app in the blockchain. If you have a full game, of course, it's a worse idea to put it on Ethereum mainnet, because your users and players will die by fees finally. So, and in your case, the Nemus, you have multiple cases. I know one is the token case, and then the NFT case with the land.
I would probably agree with the NFT itself, maybe decentralized, and all the gaming and other stuff which is dynamic, to have that centralized. I don't know how you would do for the NEA token as such, whether if that would be seen as currency, because it will be the currency of the ecosystem. Maybe is it smart to have that decentralized as well?
Yeah, absolute. That could be a very, very interesting thing if you then decentralize that as well too. So why maybe in this case decentralization makes sense in my eyes. I'm speaking now here as Thomas and not as you from this project. It's always, I could imagine by myself that it's a big fight to rescue the rainforest finally. So you also need to protect your environment from that one instance could shoot down the whole project finally. Decentralization makes sense to ensure that it runs when something is go down, technical wise, but also maybe legal wise, government wise, or whatever. So decentralization makes also sense regarding to that. We have seen yesterday, or I think 2 days ago, from Guido, this famous 300 company approach to make a transaction. Yeah, that is for real a decentralization. And of course he has showed that, but it was not technology-wise an approach, but I'm clearly here with the technology approach finally to do it in that direction. So I think decentralization could make here sense regarding to protect the environment, you know, or on your app it makes sense to protect the
holding of the NFT.
Exactly, the NFT, or if the server goes down, you must be able to, let's say, recover from the blockchain, and then everything is good, because you could shut down the node, you could lose everything in a cloud or whatever, and then if you're able to recover everything from the blockchain, then you could run tomorrow a new node, and you could install it in a completely different cloud and recover everything finally. So that is in fact a real decentralization that you could do with rainforest rescuing, you could do it with news, with informations in the internet, you could do it with content of an app, you could do it with whatever you want finally, but it makes not in any case sense, because sometimes if we talk about high frequency trading on the other side, you know, every millisecond that you will speed up is a big benefit, and there it would be quite heavy to do decentralization, because that goes against the concept finally. So we could not resolve everything with decentralization. So personally I not believe that decentralization will resolve any issue finally, but if you use it in the right let's say amount of or portion finally, it's a very good thing. But if you use it on the wrong thing, then it's very bad. An example, if you have a look at these swaps, I don't want to use names, let's say a very good swap of a blockchain finally, and now it's super slow, because if you do a transaction you have to wait 2 minutes or something like this, even fast for blockchain, but it's super slow. So you do a swap on one of these big decentralized exchanges, and then you see a price on your user interface. Then you say, yeah, I want to swap. Then maybe 2 minutes later the price is completely different already as you reach the swap really. So, and here it's a matter of what is useful and what's not. Of course, it's useful to have a decentralized exchange, but on the other side, you could not do high-frequency trading on the other side. It's a trade-off finally of things. Then on the other side, we are confronted in a lot of ways with the boxes of Robert that he showed us yesterday. If we put all the private keys inside of course, a little bit decentralized network inside of the data center, they say to us, yeah, it's a centralization of keys. Yeah, of course, is it? But it's super secure. Yeah, okay, but I want to have decentralized everything. Yes, but you have your key on your mobile phone, and that's it. So you need maybe a backup, or you need a concept of recovering it, or whatever. Because if you put your full wealth onto it, and you lose your phone, and it's away, how you have to recover, You not know it. And that is very, very important, that you have an idea of a lot of concepts are not existing by today. For decentralization specifically, a lot of concepts are missing by today in IT, in technology. while it's absolutely standard, if you run a virtual machine, you have a database, it's completely centralized, I hope you make a backup. But in case of your decentralized application, how you make a backup, how you ensure all this stuff finally, where are your private keys? These are quite heavy questions after 3 minutes of doing something on the blockchain. And I think also in my eyes, the technology is far away from delivering answers to that. So the resolutions we are doing are working, the concepts we are here are working, but as we have seen before, you have to copy-paste the chain IDs and the RPC endpoints and whatever to run it finally. But in fact, that is decentralization. Everyone could run a node, so you have to copy-paste the node URL everywhere else. But on the other side, if you have to do that, we know all that no one will use it. It's too complex to install. So do we want to have now decentralization, or do we want to have here the Connect Wallet button? Because in fact, this Connect Wallet button connects me to a predefined node. And it is no more decentralized finally. So that is user experience very good, but on the other side, it's no more decentralized, you know? So, and that is clearly always these questions behind and so on, but finally we have to deal with the business. But I don't think that you have thought about that if you have done that, of course. It's simply, it needs to work for the use case. But I think in a lot of cases, the people talking too fast and too much about decentralization overall is a very good thing. Of course, I believe in that, peer-to-peer, everything, but you need to do it in the right way, on the right section. But I remember this interplanetary file system. Have you ever heard about that? Fantastic thing, eh? The IPFS. It's another kind of decentralization. We upload a file into the interplanetary file system, and then it makes buckets of 10,000 bytes, and it stores it on 100 different servers or nodes finally. And if Reto then wants to download this file, it gets it from various different locations. That is IPFS. And of course, the name, we could discuss about it. It's interesting, but it's an interesting case.
It has become quite important in the context of NFT together with art.
Yeah. So if you do now an NFT that we have seen before, this thing we have created for your ShareSpace application, you need to think about where I want to store now the content of this NFT. And then you think, okay, I have now a super decentralized blockchain, thousands of nodes, and now if I want to put the image of this NFT where I store it, okay, nice, S3 bucket, Amazon. Okay, who cares? You create an NFT, decentralized addresses, you have your private key on your mobile phone, but the real content of this NFT stored on AWS or any cloud service. It's not bad in general, but it's absolutely not decentralized. So if this cloud provider decides to ban you, shut down your service, whatever, it doesn't matter if you're the owner of this address. No one is interested in finally. You need to, the content is away. So you need the same solution, or let's say the same approach for not only for transactions and small addresses, you need it also for the content of this NFT. And finally, a lot of NFTs in this space, like this Bored Ape stuff or whatever, store also the file on this interplanetary file system. And that is completely distributed. So let's say if we go back also here to jump another time to this project here we see content. So maybe this parcel here or whatever is it is an address. Or should I click here on this one? Yeah.
So now they're up to the right, you see number 26, and there's a piece of art.
Yes, it's a piece of art. And now the question is, where is this image stored?
I have no idea.
No idea. Let's have a look. If it's on a let's say centralized server, it's quite a lot of let's say effort you're doing to store finally that on a centralized server, the piece of art. Okay. I'm not sure if this works now with an inspection here. Whoops, maybe we see it not.
Is it in the HTML now?
Yeah, but we should see everywhere else a URL of this thing here. It's inline, so it looks like it's stored on your own server or on where your server is finally. It looks like, but what here it's here. This it looks like it's stored on your own server. Finally, but I want to say maybe you have stored it in IPFS, maybe not, but it makes, finally, if you talk about decentralization and now you protect the rainforest, that example, or you make a project to protect the rainforest, and now maybe you are located, this server is located in a country that is against to protect the rainforest. Maybe they say to you, hey, my friend, we have shut down your server. Even if you're on the blockchain present, you have your address, you have your wallet, blah, 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 the guy is no more able to see his piece of art, finally. Even if you have bought that, it could be brings you very quick into trouble. So you need also to think about decentralize everything, means everything, maybe also the full content of your website, finally. So, and here comes concepts like IPFS into play, where you really decentralize everything. The HTML, the image, the content of your website, whatever. Of course, it's maybe not quite super fast in such a case, but it's decentralized. And then we talk about, in such a case, of two different players in the market. Really the IPFS nodes, decentralization, and the gateways. So there are different gateways that allows you to interact with IPFS finally. And these are then centralized again.
Now the distribution is on 100 different places on the interplanetary system, and one of these 100, for some reason, blows up.
Yes.
Then they have a piece that you need to put together the whole mosaic, and then I've lost that as well. No.
No. It's every piece is then also distributed in a lot of nodes.
So there's a backup for.
Yeah, it's a mirroring of all the pieces. You remember that the movie platforms from early 2000s or Napster and that stuff has worked exactly like that. So you have uploaded your music file, and then it has sliced it in 3 million pieces, byte per byte, have uploaded it to 100,000 servers. And then if you want to download it, if had asked who one has this first byte of this track, who one has the second byte. It was purely peer-to-peer. And this worked more or less exactly the same. So the roots of this concept was already, as Napster was invented finally, so maybe already earlier, but at that time the internet
Guido
was maybe
working
not
for them then already. So.
Sorry?
Guido was working, he was advising them at that time, I guess, for this splitting up of the
exactly.
system.
No, but it's exactly the case. For me, peer-to-peer is nothing new. I have already seen that and worked with that stuff 20 years ago and earlier already, but I think there was not really a good use case, or at least not such use cases. Today you could put all your content. 20 years ago and longer, there was no NFT, there was no blockchain, there was no... So you had simply peer-to-peer. A couple of nerds has known what is it, Today, everyone wants to own a Bored Ape. But if you own your $3 million Bored Ape, you must ensure that it is everywhere else also decentralized stored. So, and this is clearly important. If you do NFT or decentralization of NFT finally, you could not only think about the smart contract, the blockchain. That is not only one component. You need only also to think about where the hell is my content. And if you decentralize that too, no one could stop you. You have then everything completely decentralized. The only thing that could stop you is finally, and that is now the last part then of this decentralization, is then you need a URL here. The DNS server, domain name system. This is clearly owned by 8 or 10 root servers around the globe, or the main DNS servers. If we have a look into the shorter past, let's say where countries go in war and so on, they could simply say everything with .earth is no more reachable in our country. And you could no more go in. So there is a very last piece of missing kind of decentralization in the internet. Of course, if you know the IP address, you could go directly to it, but if you don't know the host name or the DNS is no more pointing to the correct thing, it's obviously to say it's no more working. So even if you distribute everything and you have IPFS and you have NFT and you have blockchain, maybe if someone else is blocking the DNS system, you're no more able to reach it. Of course, there are ways with VPN or whatever finally, but who one knows that? No one knows that. And there I think there are quite a couple of gaps we have to close before we could talk about the decentralized internet finally. That is clearly not the case today. But there are quite a lot of components where you could already ensure a big decentralization of yourself. by dApps, that example, running on the blockchain, by content that is maybe IPFS or something similar, or simply by addresses, private keys, and so on. So these levels we have today. What we not have today is completely distributed systems like this domain stuff. The DNS is owned mostly by countries finally and so on, or controlled by countries. And there we don't have an option finally. If you want to distribute or your app, you need to accept the terms of the App Store finally. That is not decentralized, clearly. But everything from there, if you have a good eye and a good experience, and you could decentralize. So maybe let's make around where you see maybe also decentralization. For me, that are the 2 or 3 cases where I really was in touch in the last, let's say, 18 months, and where I see it's a good idea to do it.